intro there. We'll be talking about baby birds. So there's two types of baby birds that we'll get in. There are called the altricial and the preccocial baby birds. Altricial is when they're born naked, their eyes are closed, they're completely dependent on their parents. So when they're a hatchling, if just hatched, they'll be completely naked, might have a few little feathers. And then as they grow into a nestling, they will slowly grow their feathers, their eyes will start to open, but they'll still be completely dependent on their parents. If you find one of these types on the ground, then they need to be either at the back of the nest if you don't see any injuries. If you can't find the nest or there's an injury, then you can give us a call or drop off at 400 Pimina. And then as they grow into a fledgling, as a bird that's learning to fly, you'll find them on the ground, completely normal. But these guys will often look kind of like a miniature adult, except their wing feathers and their tail feathers will be short. If you find them on the ground, please just watch. You'll probably see a mom coming by and feeding them. If that's the case, then it's completely fine and just leave it alone. Make sure your pets are indoors. Now the second type of baby bird is the preccocials. The preccocial birds are ones that when they're hatched completely covered in feathers. So as you saw those little goslings there, the baby geese, they were covered in a yellow down that keeps them warm. Their eyes are open when they hatch, and they're able to walk within a day of hatching. Now these guys, they still need their parents. So they'll need their parents to show them where to go to find water, where to find food, and protect them from predators. These guys, they should be fine by them if they're in a family. If you find one by itself and it's running around, peeping away, then it probably needs help. So then you can bring it to us, give us a call. It's really important that we get them to a warm heat source. They need to be kept really warm. So as soon as you can, make sure to bring it to our drop-off at 400 Pimina or Pimina Vet Hospital. So it'd be geese and ducklings. Now these guys, they would remain with their parents for about until the fall. Yeah, these guys will remain with their parents until the fall. They'll do their migration with their parents, and then when they come back in the spring, that's when they separate from their parents. Canada geese are monogamous, so at about 2 years of age, they'll find themselves a mate, and they will stay with that mate for the rest of their lives, as long as that mate is alive. If that mate does die, something happens to it, then they will try to find a second mate. They will incubate their eggs, their 5 to 7 eggs, for about a month, so 25 to 32 days. The female does most of that work. The male will stay around her and protect her while she does this. Are there any questions so far?
No questions, but comment from Alex says, so happy you're doing this because I can't have you come do your baby birds and bunnies presentation for my kindergarten class this year.
Yeah, we're really sad we couldn't come and see you, Alex, but thanks for watching. So if you guys have any questions, make sure to ask them. Now, two things that we can do to help both of these altricial and preccocial baby birds is, for the altricial ones, make sure that we're putting things on our windows so the parents won't fly into them. What I would recommend, and it's really fun to do, is you take a bar of soap, you take a paintbrush, and you wet the bar of soap, you make a little bit of a lather, and then you paint on the outside of your windows. So you can do as simple as making little dots every 2 inches horizontally and every 4 inches vertically, all across the exterior windows. And what that does is it will break up the reflection on the window. It'll let the birds know that this is a solid surface, and then they won't hit windows and they'll have to protect them. Because we often get the adults in suffering from window collisions. Now, for the preccocial baby birds, what we can do to help them is to not feed them bread. A lot of people, when they go to a waterfowl pond, they want to feed the ducks and the geese. And we would highly recommend that we do not feed them bread. Bread leads to a condition called angel wing, which, while it may sound a little cute, isn't so cute in real life. It causes their wings to grow out and be malformed, so their wings will kind of sprout out. It'll look really funky, and that means that the birds won't be able to fly. That's thought to be caused by the bread because of an imbalance in their diet from eating the bread. bread also makes the pond water really gross. It'll make it green and smelly. So we highly recommend not to feed bread. Instead, if you have to feed them, try giving them seeds or dried peas, cracked corn, and only feeding them on the ground. Definitely not in the water. We don't want getting that water gross. And what I would recommend is not to feed them at all. They're able to feed by themselves. But instead, if you're going to a pond, what you try to do is to see how many species you can identify, how many of each you can see the males versus the females. Just try to appreciate them as they're swimming by and doing your day-to-day life without feeding them. Any questions so far?
Alex is wondering if you're planning on discussing the difference between nestlings and fledglings in terms of rescue.
Yeah, so as I said a little bit earlier, so nestlings and hatchlings, so the babies that are mostly naked still, if you would find that on the ground and they're if they have an injury, then immediately give us a call and we can help you then. If they look fine, look around, try to see if you can find the nest, and then you can just put them back in the nest. If the nest is damaged, let's say there's been a storm and the nest has blown down, what you can do is you can take like a little margarine container, make a few holes at the bottom so that if it rains again, the water will drain out. Put the old nest in there and then tie it back in the tree, and then keep an eye out. Mom will probably come back and see them. If you see a fledgling, so a baby bird that is mostly completely covered in feathers, like I said, they look a bit like adults, except their wing feathers and their tail feathers are a little shorter. Those guys should be on the ground. So as long as they're looking fine, you keep an eye on them and their mom's coming and feeding them, you want to leave them alone. The only time you should take one of these in is if they are injured, and if that's the case, then to give us a call and drop off at Pemina Vet. Does that answer your question, Alex? Okay, perfect. We'll go back to the goslings now. If there's any questions, just leave them in and I will answer them as we go.
So Sharon is asking what happened to the mother goose.
In this case, all of these babies were found by themselves, so we don't actually know what happened to the mother. They were just found by themselves, so they might have gotten separated. Thank you everybody for watching. I'd just like to remind you guys that at 2:30 we'll be doing it again in French this time, so if you want to watch it in French, join us at 2:30. If not, see you next week. Bye!